Welcome back to another story from the family records. Before we tell today's story, please, if you liked the video, make sure to like and leave a comment letting me know what you liked about it, what could be better, and what your favorite song on the album is. And if you're new around here, hey, subscribe to the channel. We are pulling new records every week. Ring the bell so you never miss the needle drop. Today's album and creator mark a milestone for the family records. While the creator was born at the start of the 1980s, he would release his first 3 solo albums in 2008 and 2009. I can't believe it either. Modern music in the family records. But Mom did say that she started getting back into vinyls in the 2010s. In fact, the record player that she bought at that time is the one that I'm still using today. And this album was one that she picked up around the same time. Let's drop the needle on. Kurt Vile, Smoke Ring for My Halo. Kurt Vile compiled various home recordings dating back to 2003 to create his first 2 albums, Constant Hitmaker, which was released in 2008, and God Is Saying This to You, which dropped in 2009. When his second album was released, Vile already had a third recorded, Childish Prodigy. That solo album was his first made in the studio and with the full participation of his backing band, The Violators. He signed with Matador Records in May of 2009 and released Childish Prodigy in October that year. The album increased Vile's exposure significantly, and support slots playing with Dinosaur Jr., Thurston Moore, and Fucked Up followed the album's release. Speaking about the extensive touring that resulted from the release of Childish Prodigy, Vile said, "There has been a lot of touring and more growing, more than people might know. This was also the first time the full Violators lineup had been featured on a tour, and Vile certainly paints a vivid picture of this dynamic as well, saying that it was the first time the full band could come along. We had kind of a shitty rental van, and it was the first time we were all together for that long. At points, it was like Lord of the Flies, everyone ready to eat each other up. And then we were suddenly like best friends again. And we still are best friends." Good thing too, Kurt Vile and the Violators went back to the studio following their touring session and began work on Smoke Ring for My Halo. Comparing the process of recording his third album to his fourth, Vile said, "With Childish Prodigy, I had made a whole record not knowing where I was going. It was me in my studio, somewhere between lo-fi and maybe not super hi-fi. I wanted to have a concept of this album being a statement as a whole, as opposed a little bit from here and a little bit from there. It shows a kind of introspective folk side more, while still being into rock. It doesn't capture my whole sound, but it captures part of my sound and is more concise as a record." During the early recording sessions, Kurt attempted to record, quote, "kind of trance-like Appalachian folk-style songs, and at the time, it was too rushed, and I still hadn't nailed it. I attempted to get these tunes down, but they aren't ready yet." The final 2 tracks to be recorded on the album were Puppet to the Man and Society Is My Friend. Speaking about the late additions, Vile stated, "Matador did say, 'It's great, but there aren't any rockers on it.' So I went back in and recorded a couple of rockers, which I'm glad I did. Society Is My Friend and Puppet to the Man, I've recorded them at the end." Smoke Ring for My Halo released in March of 2011. It received widespread critical acclaim, praised for its thoughtful lyrics, Vile's distinctive voice, and the overall atmosphere of the record. It is listed no lower than 44 on over 10 top album of the year lists from outlets like Pitchfork, NME, and Rolling Stone. In terms of sales, it reached number 21 on independent album charts, but did not achieve mainstream commercial success. It has been certified silver in the UK for sales of over 60,000 copies. However, it is important to note that despite not selling more, Smoke Ring for My Halo became a cult classic and is widely regarded as one of Kurt Vile's best albums. All right, and here we go on my goodbye thoughts, which we're going to get into right now. And my goodbye thoughts start with talking about how a lot of the music I like comes from soundtracks for TV and movies. This has always been the way. Way back like 30 episodes ago when I first started, I said something along the lines of like, no one likes it when I have the aux cord because I'm going to put some fucking weird shit on, which is totally true and also not true because obviously some of these soundtracks have, anyway, they've got like normal music on them too. But when I started listening to this album, Vile's got a super distinctive style, and on Jesus Fever, immediately, like the chords on that, I started thinking about a song from the show Eastbound and Down, which I knew that I liked. I knew what the song was called. It's called He's All Right. And I was like, is that also a Kurt Vile song? I thought it was. Looked it up. It absolutely is. So yeah, that's from his third album, actually, which I went ahead and downloaded also. So I'm going to give that a listen too. But that's a great song. And this is a superb album. I probably like Smoke Ring for My Halo the most on this album, but there's a few good hitters on here. And we're going to do the Nicki appreciation post because this is Nicki's album. Nicki's bringing us into the 21st century anyway, Nicki's usually looking in the comment section. She's watching all these videos. She's like one of my biggest, if not my biggest fan. She is also one of the reasons that I do all this. She literally enabled me. She enabled me to be myself and not be a clone since I was a super little kid. And like I said, we listened to the vinyls on her setup. It's a house we co-own. That is the studio. My life would be infinitely inferior without her support and her love, and I love her very much. So Nicki, I love you so much. That's my mom, and she hates when I call her Nicki. So Mom, I love you so much. This is the Mom Appreciation episode. So thanks for the album. Thanks for the vinyl. Thanks for doing everything. You're the best. In terms of the album sales for this album, I didn't want to get into it too much because I just didn't really feel like it was that important. But obviously, like, it's after 2000. Like, I feel like everything after 2000s, kind of like the early 2000s. Yeah, let's just say 2000. Everything after that is like, it's a different era. Not only can you just steal music super easily, and since music is small files, it's very easy to do. But then we also moved to digital storefronts and streaming, and I think that really, I don't think there's a question that depresses a lot of actual sales of albums, right? In terms of physical copies that people want to buy, even though I feel like there is a revival of vinyl, and so probably there are more sales than there would have been 20 years ago. There's no comparison, right? When I'm looking at some of these groups and it's like, oh, multi-platinum in the 70s versus 60,000 copies in 2010, like 60,000 copies, physical copies in 2010, that's not a bad number. You know what I mean? So it's all relative, and that's why I didn't really want to get into it during the story, but I did just want to note that because obviously this album didn't, like I said, have great commercial success, but at the same time, I feel like music now is a lot more about the impact that it makes, the I don't want to say like the memeability of it, but it almost is like how much your music gets into the popular culture. And it's like people become TikTok famous now, right? In music, in terms of like you have a really popular TikTok song, and that you can use that to springboard to greater success. So I just think, it's a very different time now, and I just don't think, like relatively speaking, like I just wasn't really going to go into it because I just don't think it's worthwhile. But I did want to note, it didn't sell great, and I think a lot of great art oftentimes is not fully appreciated right away. But obviously, this album has come to be regarded as like excellent. It's excellent, and Kurt Vile's really good. And I had seen this album over there, and I just Anyway, I feel like this is the way it is with just so many of these albums where I don't know what to expect, and there's almost like some trepidation. I feel like people are like kind of creatures of habit and comfort, and so you go back to things that you know, and like definitely with music, like I'm really that way. So this has just been another great thing about this series. This really like forces me to broaden my perspectives musically and discover a lot of cool stuff that I literally have right at my fingertips that I've never appreciated. So I do appreciate it. I appreciate this series. I appreciate the opportunity that I have to do it. I appreciate you all so much, my family. I love you guys. Thank you for everything you do for me. All the comments, likes, views, subs, appreciate it all. Just keep it going, keep it rolling, love it. Thank you so much. I'll be back with another record, and this one. So I've got a bonus record this week. That's all I'm going to say. I got a bonus record. My production is ahead enough that I'm very confident that I got a bonus record this week. So you'll be seeing it soon. This should be on Wednesday that I'm talking to you right now. So this should be on Wednesday. And then, there's going to be our regular record Friday. And then we're going to have an extra. Take care. Love ya. See ya. Bye.
was sick.